Legos. We know what they are. Building brick toys that was invented by some Danish guy. And sets that you'll see at your local Walmart that kinda reenact scenes from your favorite movies, shows, or even video games. This one's kinda weird, isn't it? I mean, the movie is rated R, but it's being sold for kids? I don't know, I just find it kinda weird. But Legos are still very popular to not only kids, but adults as well, with people being able to create very unique pieces and elaborate scenes with them. But how do I feel about them? Yeah, I think they're cool. But if you go back and ask past me, then I'll tell you that they were the fucking shit. I was big into Legos, starting with Star Wars sets, then to Mars Mission, Marvel and DC superhero sets, Lord of the Rings, and many others. Just taking the time to build these sets was just part of the fun. And then when you finish building them, your imagination just starts to run wild. From recreating your favorite scenes from the movies or making up your own story was the appealing part of Legos. And if you were anything but a Lego fan, like a Mega Bloks kid, then I have to ask,
what is wrong with you? Why are you blue? Ugh,
my love for them as a kid was just unfathomable. But there was another thing that was starting to get popular when I was a kid. That's right, YouTube. Now stick with me here. YouTube around the 2010s was something special to say the least. It was a time where people were letting out their creativity and simply having fun with the videos they made. There was no Mr. Beast, VTubers, or PewDiePie. It was an era of Smosh equals 3 and an abundance of random videos like YouTube poops. During this time, I would also watch YouTube from, again, random videos like YouTube poops to SML. You know, back when he made simple and fun videos that don't live up nowadays, or even his new videos, to say the least. But there was another form of videos that combined my love of Legos and YouTube. That being Lego stop motion animation. See, I was getting somewhere with this. Now, I'm not going to sit here and explain the history of stop motion animation, or even Lego stop motion, or brick films as they're labeled as, like how the first ever brick film was actually made by two kids in 1973 called Journey to the Moon. No, I'm just going to talk about my love for Lego stop motion animation and my favorite Lego animator. So let's get on with it. Now, back in early YouTube, there were a fair amount of Lego animators, and they were mostly amateurish, which, you know, it's to be expected. The ones I'd watch would generally be Star Wars related, and the animations would also generally be a typical large scale fight of clone troopers fighting against droids and other troops against others. You know, some simple stuff. Then there'd be some semi-plot based ones, like short zombie apocalypse films. You know, back when zombies used to be such a big thing and you could barely escape it. In these animations, you would see the use of Play-Doh to represent blood. Ooh, edgy, I know. It's not very significant to point this out, but I thought I should just because it's interesting to see the techniques people used back then to show violence in their animation. The last sort of animations that you'd see are the superhero or Star Wars parodies. Now, during this time, there were a good amount of Star Wars sets that were being sold, and with Star Wars also being pretty popular back then as well, it resulted in there being a lot of Star Wars animations. But during that time as well, there were also some superhero Lego sets like Spider-Man and Batman, but mainly Batman. Side tangent, but this was because there was a Lego Batman game that was out around the time, so why not have a few Batman sets to go along with it? And let me say, that game was really fun as a kid. But with my love of Lego, Batman, and YouTube, there was one channel in particular that combined these things and made me become a fan of them, and still be to this very day. That channel being Forest Fire 101, the person who made me want to make this video in the first place. So this might be a weird spot to do some self-plugging, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So did you know that I live stream? No? Oh yeah, of course you don't. But I do. Sometimes. It's kinda inconsistent as well, but not as much as my channel. But if you do want to check out my live streams, then you can follow me on my Twitch down in the description. Or, if you want to, you can also follow my Twitter so you just be notified when I live stream. Or if you don't want to do those, or at least like see what I live stream, then I have a VOD channel as well where I post my VODs kinda later than when they're streamed, but I do post them on my VOD channel, so check that out if you're interested. And yeah, that's all I have to say, so back to the video. Being young and creating his channel in 2007 and also uploading his first video on that same year, Forrest's first video was a simple animation of Spider-Man and Sandman fighting. Now, this isn't really a LEGO animation since the figures used are from a Mega Bloks set, that being this Spider-Man 3 Sandman Bank Heist set from 2004, but that being the case, it's still brick film, so, you know, whatever. But after that first animation, his second one would be a LEGO Batman animation, and this would be the start of his popular LEGO Batman films. His LEGO Batman films will be exaggerated takes on the characters, with Batman being portrayed as an asshole who doesn't care about the people around him, or his morals with him killing his villains. Then there's Robin, who, just like the comics, there has been many versions of him in Forrest's films, but they're all pretty similar, with them being really childish and incompetent, with him being the butt of the joke, or just getting the short end of the stick. Oh, and he's also gay, which, you know, doesn't really matter much. Then as for the other characters, like Alfred and all of the other villains, they're of course exaggerated and overall goofier than their movie or comic portrayal. But Batman wasn't the only series that he'd make animations on. He would also do some for Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and some original short films. And at one point he also made some live-action skits, an episodic series, and 2 film-like videos. But I'm getting a bit too ahead of myself right now, so let's take a look back and see the gradual increase of quality of his animations and career. This video is gonna get so off topic. So, as to be expected for a kid on early YouTube, the quality of his animations in his first few years were obviously what you expect from a kid. But even with that being the case, they still have a childish charm to them that's still kind of enjoyable to watch. Though that might just be me looking at them with rose-tinted nostalgia, as I pretty much grew up with these videos. That aside though, he'd also try experimenting with other types of videos, such as some live-action skits like the Invisa trilogy. They were basically infomercial videos where they would sell, quote-unquote, invisible items. He would also make some MS Paint animations that varied on what they were about. But it would be in 2009 where 2 very interesting things would happen in Forrest's life. The first thing would be that he made an appearance on Nick News, which, for those who don't know, was a show block on Nick that was what its title kind of suggests. It doesn't have anything to do with the channel block itself, instead it talks about things going on in the world, while also discussing on some social and political topics. And they would also bring up some random topics like the one that Forrest was in. So yeah, in 2009, Forrest was interviewed on Nick News for his Lego animations, which must have been pretty insane as a kid, though it's also funny looking back since his videos were not really appropriate for kids, to say the least. But it's still a cool opportunity to have been a part of. And then there's the second thing that happened that year, and for that we need to go a few months back. On March 23rd, 2009, Forrest would upload an MS Paint animation that would go viral. Now, if you watched YouTube around the time, then you might have a vague idea on what I'm talking about.
A duck walked up to a lemonade stand and he said to the man, run in the stand.
You sent me a message first, yeah? I live in Smethwick, Birmingham. If you want the fucking brawl, come down Smethwick, that's for Danny G. I'll come out of my house and I'll break your fucking legs, you little prick!
Yes, that's right. The Duck Song. Most people don't know that the Duck Song was made by Forrest, but it was indeed made by him. Well, the animation at least. The song was made by someone else. I personally found it funny whenever I saw the Duck Song being played, just because the people around me don't know that the person who made it made some pretty sick Lego animations. And not so family-friendly ones at that. So basically the meme where that guy is standing alone in the corner at a party. After his viral video that was the Duck Song and his appearance on Nick News, Forrest would continue to make his Lego animations, but there was another live-action series that he made which I'll just call the Craig series. For now, I'm going to gloss over the Lego videos for a bit, since around this time period it's pretty much more the same, but with Forrest's techniques and video quality getting better. This is going to be a bit of a tangent, but I'm going to be giving a quick rundown through these Craig videos, since I just found it to be kind of interesting, especially when I watched them as a kid. I should also mention that they kinda don't hold up nowadays, as they're a bit of a relic in the past. But they were a short 10-episode series about a guy named Craig who's gay, and does suggestive things to Forrest and his friends, but all the while denying that he's gay. And that's pretty much it. Again, it's a short series that's comedic for the most part, though the last episode has a completely different mood from the rest and is overall different, and that's all I'm going to say. If you want to watch those for yourselves, again, these videos were made in a different era. And tangent over. Okay, one more tangent for something I just remembered. This still relates to his Lego animations, but it has to do with a voice actor that was in Forrest's video. So, in 2009, Forrest started to have other people do voices for his characters while he still voiced Batman and Robin. But, in one video titled The Lego Batman and Spider-Man Movie 2, there's a certain person that voices Spider-Man that I'm sure everyone should be able to recognize.
And Spider-Man, I am so glad that I gave Robin away to that orphanage.
Yeah, he was annoying, but don't you feel bad that Superman adopted him?
That's right. Shane fucking Dawson starred in one of his videos, which is crazy to think about, especially for all the shit that's been brought back to light on Shane. But it's not all that surprising for them to have collabs, since back then they were both blowing up on YouTube. Okay, now tangent is over. So let's get back to his videos. Between 2010 and 2012, his videos have gotten significantly better overall, with his animations starting to become more smoother, having more effects, and having slightly better writing. But with the increase in quality, his uploads started to slowly decrease, which is mainly due to putting in extra work on its animations, because, of course, if you're trying to make your stop-motion animations look smoother and just overall better, then the more frames you'll need to add, which takes a lot of time to do. Then, on top of that, adding more effects to make it look better, it just adds more time to an already time-consuming project. Because of how time-consuming stop-motion is, it gives me more of an appreciation to not only Forrest, but to anyone who decides to choose this style of animation, as, again, it takes a lot of time to complete and also plan out. And even if Forrest only uploaded like once or twice that year, you can still see the thought and care that he put into those animations, and because of that, it just makes me appreciate his work. But let's get back on track and continue with this history. In later years, it would pretty much be the same with higher quality and less uploads, but with less of a focus on Batman and more so with other franchises like The Hobbit, due to the live action movies coming out at the time, and Marvel properties. One of my favorite series during this time was his Lego Captain America videos, which were completely filled with action. No dialogue or comedy, just nuts to butts action of just Captain America killing some fucking Nazis. And then later, Nazi zombies. But they were just fun to watch. But after that, again, his uploads became less frequent and even not having a single upload in 2018. This was mainly due to working on other projects outside of his YouTube channel, though he was back to uploading in 2019, and for his second upload that year, to me at least, it seemed different from his previous videos at the time. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. I can't really put my finger on it, but I can in his later upload, that being his Mandalorian animation. In this video, you can just straight up tell that his cinematography and action sequences have gotten better. You can also notice him using more effects like lighting to set the mood, explosions to make them pack a bit more punch, and, at least in this video, using steel wool to make the blasters shots seem more believable, or at least have that effect like they kind of do in the show. So to put it simply, his production has gotten really good over the years that he's been doing this. And now we reach the present day, and things continue to be looking good for Forrest, with him uploading more regularly with shorter animations, but still having that goodness to them. It's just interesting to see how Forrest has improved over the years, from his beginnings as a simple kid who started in his room using the Legos he owned, to making his own movies that he wanted to make, to now where he still continues to do what he loves and being able to make a living off of it. I know that this video so far has mainly been a bit more on Forrest, more so than Lego stop motion videos, and overall just all over the place. But his channel was basically my childhood, and I loved it back then, I still do now. And you can't deny that he's had some influence on other creators within that atmosphere of Lego stop motion. And not only that, but because of him, I learned the style of animation I learned to love and appreciate, especially for, again, the amount of time and work it takes to make a stop motion animation. Believe me, I tried to make one as a kid, and to utter failure. And then, of course, I should also mention that obviously Forrest isn't the only one making these stop motion Lego animations. There's a community that do, and the few that do make these type of animations are equally as good. So yeah, if there's one you don't personally like Forrest, then there are many others out there to check out. Again, I grew up watching these Lego videos and just grew a fondness to them. Hell, they probably helped shape me to the person I am today. For better or worse. But hopefully this video made you at least want to check out either Forrest or just Lego animations as a whole. There's a lot of variety out there, so there'll probably be one that suits you. Who knows? And that's pretty much all I really have to say. So this is where I shell out my socials now. So yeah, check out my social media if you want to, link in the description, and consider subscribing. And with that, I'll see you next time. Whenever that is.